Right, guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the backrooms and liminal spaces. Now, to be honest with you, I wasn't really clued up in what this whole thing was, but I've been looking into it recently, and there seems to be a whole big fan base of this. And today, um, Holly Provencal is going to explain this whole backrooms, liminal spaces thing to us and to me, and maybe I might actually understand a little bit. Um, when looking into this, it was a bit crazy. It's one of those spooky type crazy ones. So yeah, listen, I hope you enjoyed. These are the ones that I love to do. I learned something from it, and as I said, you seen my announcement on the channel there. This channel is moving into a different demographic. I have another channel, Plumcast, where I talk about all the craziness in YouTube. So don't think I'm moving away from that. You can hear my opinions and the whole thing to do with Deca Higgy, 3D Fight Club, all of that on Plumcast. But this here is exclusively for my guests. If my guests want to talk about Deca, like I'm having Dean Lynch Ward on this Thursday, if they want to talk about Deca, they can. But for myself, I'll not be making content about Deca personally myself for this channel. That will be for Plumcast. So yeah, this is going into a different demographic, documentary styles, doing informational videos and podcasts with great guests like Holly. Holly's channel is in the description of this video. So if you want to just go into the description, and you will be able to get Holly's um channel down there. Just click the link, it'll take you straight to her channel, and subscribe the ring and ring the bell. Great channel, talks about Scientology. Um, there's a great podcast with ex-Scientologist Chris Sutton, I believe his second name. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And yeah, great channel. Go and sub to Holly's channel if you love all that stuff. I do. I like watching Holly stuff. So let's do Holly a favor and go and sub. Right, let's bring Holly on now. Holly, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Ronan?
I am fantastic. This is a subject that's so weird because I was looking into it today a little bit, right? And the backrooms, there's a whole fan base to this. There's like a generation of people that love this, right? And I don't know why, because it seems so. Is it scientific? Is it spiritual? What is it?
I'd say it's more psychological. It creates these certain images. Some of them can create nostalgia in people. Some of them can create eeriness, familiarity, loneliness. It's the types of like mental or emotions or feelings that these pictures get across.
Yes, yes. I seen a few today, right? And there's a whole like Facebook page to this, or Facebook group to this, and I shared this live video. I don't know if they accepted or not, but there was thousands of people in the group, and they were just sharing these pictures of like there was no people, and it was just like it was just eerie pictures of just nothing. Maybe there was a dark street with a set of trees, or maybe somebody was in a swimming pool that was like a street, like with a dark hole that went in, and it was like it's a psychological mind fuck, that you think to yourself, what is this? But then looking into the liminal spaces, there was a design aspect to this. There was like, what is the design? We are the cause of the liminal space. Basically, without us, the liminal space wouldn't exist. It's our consciousness. It's who we are. And nature doesn't have liminal spaces. It's everything grows in nature, but we ourselves, with our structures, have created a liminal space.
A lot of liminal spaces are result from man-made constructs. A lot of them take place inside buildings, or maybe like down, like you said, down like dark roads or stuff like that. It usually always includes some type of man-made aspect to it. They convey a feeling of people should be there, but they're not. Why?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, but we actually, you know what we'll do? We'll start off from the beginning, right? Because we can go off. We can just talk like and get into all the mad little subjects, which I want to do.
We can do that. I'm down.
But let's start off for the viewers, for the people that are going to watch this from the beginning and actually want to know a liminal space is. We'll start off with a liminal space. What is a liminal space?
Okay, so a liminal space, the word liminal comes from the Latin word limen or limen. I don't exactly know how it's pronounced, but it means threshold. A liminal space is a transitional space between the start and the destination. There can be mental liminal spaces, which could include feelings like maybe just starting to move from one house to another, the feelings that go with that, or maybe you're going through a divorce. That would be like a transition. That would be liminal. But the way we're going to talk about it today is physical locations.
Yeah.
Liminal spaces, like I said, are transitions from one place to another, including things such as hallways, roads. Abandoned malls is a really, really common one. They're not the destination. They are a way. There is something on the way to the destination.
Yeah, like you do get that from a lot of things. So like you'll be like in an airport, right? Or you'll be in you call it a shop mall, I call it a shopping center, right? And it'll be maybe late at night, and you've been in this area when it's packed to the rafters, but now it's empty, and it's a different type of a feeling. You get a different type of a vibe from it. And that's sort of the liminal space. And then
I was going to say, if you wouldn't mind, I can share my screen and we can show some gallery examples of a liminal space.
Yeah, we're going to show some liminal spaces here. You share away, Holly.
All right, cool. Let me get the window. Okay, so I've got the window up. Let me know when you guys can fully see it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going to kind of zoom in over here on the right. So again, example of a dead mall. That's one. This one always tends to be weird, like flooded, almost subway stations.
Yeah.
Malls, hallways. This is the famous picture of the Backrooms that we're going to be talking about later. So I don't really want to dive into that yet, but this is the first picture that started it all.
Yeah.
Again, like an art gallery, again, school hallway. You can kind of get the vibe just from looking at a few of them. You can understand what they're supposed to invoke.
Well, I'll just take that down there. So the thing about it is, right? There's another aspect to this. It's the creepy aspect of it. We've all been in places like a shopping mall or whatnot, but it's the human consciousness. It's how we perceive things, right? So the liminal space in itself. So we could have a dream about liminal spaces, which I think that's where it sort of, in my opinion, could originate from, right? Because I was thinking about this today. I've had dreams about walking down certain roads, reoccurring dreams where you would be walking down a certain road. Maybe you're in a certain shopping mall. Maybe you're in a certain area. Now, that area would be packed, but now it's empty and it's just you. And you will get to a certain point of this dream where something will happen, like a hand will come out of the ditch or something obscure that will happen. And in my case was I got to the end of the road and it just kept going and going and going. But there came a point in the dream where I met people that I knew, and then their faces turned really, really old. And then I looked in a mirror and I was turning old, and then I woke up. So it's like it's a really strange feeling, but it was thinking back, that was a liminal space that I was.
That empty abandoned area was a liminal space.
And then at the end, it was just dismal because we were getting old, and then we just died. do you know what I mean? Like, so, that is a liminal space, and there's a lot of these, and there's something to this because it's what we've created, the liminal space, and we've created these sort of structures. Without us, we wouldn't even be talking about this. Do you think that, like for instance, do you think a caveman would have the same sort of feelings? Like, probably not, because they don't have the structures. Do you think maybe if they were in their cave, if they're
maybe they'd have their own, like the picture of their cave or like an opening to the cave might be a liminal space. It's a way to the destination. It is not necessarily the destination itself.
Yes.
So seeing that dark entrance might invoke some type of feeling.
Yes.
But
it's so strange. It's such a strange thing. And since that I've been researching this, I'm always noticing liminal spaces. everywhere I go, I'm like,
Hmm.
shit, I'm in a liminal space right now.
I noticed some when I was at the casino the other night. They have a convention center connected to the casino, but there was nothing going on. So I went down with my fiance just to go explore it, and it was just these big open hallways, conference room hallways with different doors on the sides, and I was like, I gotta get pictures of this.
Yeah. We're going to sort of transition into the back rooms here now,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yep.
the liminal spaces and the back rooms are sort of the same thing.
Yes,
So,
Backrooms stems from pictures of liminal spaces.
yes, so explain to people what the back rooms is.
So the Backrooms, in nonfiction terms, is a fan community or different fan communities putting together different levels, groups, entities, objects. If you know about the SCP Foundation, it's very, very similar, except obviously this revolves around liminal spaces and stuff like that. But um, people can write their own ideas for places, people, things, whatever, and submit them to these wiki communities. And eventually, maybe they'll become canon to that wiki.
Wow.
So
So was the back rooms a game? Because I hear people saying they played the back rooms.
there are games revolving around the Backrooms. Yes, there's a one that I play called Enter the Backrooms. The person is constantly working on it, constantly adding new levels, patching, debugging, all that stuff. Um, it's got a simpler aesthetic to it, but it still sticks to the wiki in terms of entities, objects, places, and stuff like that. So it's actually really fun.
Yeah, because I heard that there was like levels because when it was even when it was hashtagging a few of the I done a bit of a promo for TikTok today for this year because the backrooms is quite big on TikTok. There's loads of like weird things
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to promote this on TikTok. I was hashtagging it. It was all these different hashtags about like level 4, level 12. So it's just an endless sort of maze. Level 1 is that sort of generic sort of hallway house thing, and you're just a generic maze of just endless hallways and rooms. But and then you'll just come across a door, like a red door. You'll open that door, but it mightn't take you to level 2. It might take you to level 19.
Mm-hmm.
So the game itself isn't just about moving up levels. It's actually finding level 2 could be the hard part. You could get like
Yeah.
level 50, but finding level 2 could be like the hardest thing to find.
And when we actually go through ways to enter and exit different levels, you'll find that it's just all over the place. From touching things, going through things, interacting with certain objects will cause you, say you're on level, you know what, let me get the document up. You got, all right, so let's say we're looking at level 777, which is my favorite level of all time. It is a 14-kilometer road that is lined all the way around with casinos.
Right.
The casinos are all bigger on the inside. You can't go over them. People have tried, people have failed, and they completely block off anywhere else. So the only thing you can do is go into these casinos. In order to get to level 777, you either have to A, gamble purely for the sake of gambling, or B, gamble with a man with an eye patch in level 98. His skills.
By any chance, his name isn't Paddy Conroy, is it?
Hell if I know. You can call him whatever you want. But I would explain what he bets with, but now I'd have to explain that object.
Yeah.
He basically you gamble with him. His skills are just below the toughest casino in level 777, and if you beat him, you get transported right to that casino.
So you have to beat him in a casino type game.
In a gamble, yes.
In a gamble. One thing I want to say is, Americans love your casinos.
Yeah.
They just didn't take off over here. We love betting. We waste all our money on horses, right? But see, when it comes to casinos and stuff, it's just like, nah.
Yeah, we love our blackjack, poker, slot machines, all that kind of stuff.
We have them everywhere, but it's like we have them in smaller type settings. Like you'll go to like Blackpool in England or Portrush here or Newcastle here in Ireland. and you'll have like little small type casino things with like blackjack machine or blackjack, and you'll have like slot machines. But over in America, it's like big, massive, in your face. Just it's like if you're autistic, you couldn't go into these places. Like I couldn't
They
take.
can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, it's just like it's an overload of noise. It's absolutely crazy. But so it's interesting to see. So this. So how many levels to the backrooms is there?
Thousands.
And these are constantly being updated.
People are constantly adding new stuff all the time.
Wow, so it's a never-ending game of never-ending levels. And do the levels, for instance, if you're on a level, is there a generic way that you get through that level, or is it always different to each part?
No, levels have general ways to enter and leave. So let me see if I can load up a particular one. Let's do level 4. This is an empty office building with windows all around.
You share that to the screen now. I'm
Oh,
interested.
yep. Give me 1 second. Let me just put that in a separate window. Open that here. Share screen. I'm going to show a wiki entry from this thing.
We should do like a Halloween special. That would be fun.
Absolutely. So, level 4, if you can see the picture, this is one area of it. Just empty, no furniture office complex.
Right.
So, again, provides that feeling of like loneliness, eeriness. The windows are traps, so don't go near them. So you got your level safety, you got your level security, and you got how many entities are there, how populated it is. So the higher the class, the more difficult it is. The lower the class, the easier to live it is. The easier it is to live there. So, like I said, empty office building. Most of the windows are blacked out. Any windows that have not been blacked out are considered traps and should be avoided at all costs. Level 4, it has hounds and dullers, which we'll get into later. I don't think I have dullers written down, but I do have hounds. There are things called smilers, supposedly, but in this level, it's not known that it's not seen that they exist. Lots of supplies, lots of people. So you get water coolers, vending machines, and fountains with almond water, which is the most important thing in the back rooms.
Yeah, I heard that.
Great to meet with people and find supplies, or they have communities here from the MEG, the Major Explorer Group. This is their second main base. They got close to the entrance to level 5 and level 6. A more incrementum to be determined. Entrances, no clipping, which is, for those who don't know, no clipping is common in gaming when you pass through objects or boundaries that you shouldn't be able to. And that's the way that canonically that people enter the backrooms is by no clipping out of reality. And you end up in here.
Yeah, so yeah, this is where it gets a wee bit tricky, right? Because there's people asking that have no clue. Have you finished with that on the screen?
Oh, no, not yet.
No, go ahead.
You can get here from level 3 using the elevators or by finding a door on level 2 that's unlocked. Falling through the pit in level 283 has a chance of teleporting divers through the ceiling. Level 4 has occasional exits that lead to 5 and 6. Most of them are stairways or elevators that may even lead back to 3. So this is a relatively more simple one, but there are ones that have tons of entry and exit points. So that's it.
Right. Yeah, it's like this is where it gets a wee bit messed up. So it's like a glitch. They call it the glitch. I heard a lot of people refer to it as like a glitch. So when you're in a game, just say you're playing GTA, right? And you go under the game, right? It's infinite. You can't get out. And that's what the back room sort of is.
Yeah, basically imagine instead of that black or gray void under the map, you end up in there.
So when researching this, right, there was a couple of sort of professors that were talking about the back rooms, right? Forget their name. I'll actually link the thing that I've seen, right?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So what I noticed was that they were saying it's sort of like the multiverse. So what the reality to what the back rooms could be is that there's an endless sort of different realities of Earth, and there's actually a sort of substance to what the back rooms could actually be. So instead of, for instance, just say take our reality as GTA, well, if we go underneath that and we're stuck in that, which they sort of not mathematically, apparently that's actually possible in our reality. That's what the sort of scientific version of what purgatory is, like a sort of like a scientific purgatory. It's it's a really messed up concept. But then there's different levels. In their case, that would be different realities. So that would be a different universe, a different multiverse. If you get what I'm saying.
No, I can see why they'd say that.
And to that, there's an under layer to that, a glitch to that. That's sort of the dumb way of explaining it. They explained it very they explained it a lot better than me. But they were saying it's sort of how we can explain this through computer games and how we can explain this through sort of simulations actually is sort of like proof that we are living in a simulation, because mathematically that can actually be done in our reality. Now, whether we can actually do it today, we don't know. But it's a really. Now, where does monsters come into this?
Okay, so levels can have entities or they don't. Not all entities are hostile. Some are very tame. Some can be tamed. Let me actually load that up right now. So entities, there may be common ones in most levels. There may be some that are only on a few levels. There may be some that are only for one level. One example is a smiler, and I will load up a picture of that.
And these are creepy, guys. So you will come across these on certain levels, won't you?
Yes, if you're unlucky enough. But here is.
So then it's sort of it then becomes like a non-liminal space because you've came across one of these characters. It's different to the setting that what it is the Backrooms, which makes it even more creepy.
If this is I know it's blurry, but this is an example of a smiler. Literally, that's all you see are the eyes and the mouth.
And is this a rare thing that happens?
Smilers are a very common entity in most levels. It just depends on what the difficulty rating of the level is.
Right. So. And these are entities that you find inside the game.
These are what you can find in the game, yes.
And just to clarify to people, see this game. Is this game played on PC? Is it played on?
It is played on PC. You can download it through Steam, and there are also a lot of free Backrooms games that you can download. Usually through like itch.io or whatever. This one's about $5.
Right, so they're cheap.
Oh, hang on, lost you. What's going on?
Oh, I can still hear you.
Oh, there you go. I don't know why you just like cut off.
I could still see you.
All right. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So these entities, is there a purpose of these entities? What's their purpose?
They don't seem to have much of a purpose, at least from my perspective. They tend to just be enemies most times.
Right.
This is basically you're just breaking into their home. And
in the game, can they harm you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Smilers are common when your sanity is low. Sanity is an extremely important thing in the Backrooms. If you don't have enough sanity, you can go through certain conditions. I believe one is called, what is it? The Wretch. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Entities, here we go. Jerry Hound, Facelings, Skin Stealers, Bursters, Wretches. Here we go. That's just an artist depiction, but there's been a better picture of Wretches. This is going to be kind of gross, kind of graphic, so
yeah, it's all right.
This is a common picture of... Oh, no, is this an insanity? Oh, this is an insanity. Okay, but here's an example of something that happens when you lose your sanity. Stage 4. There we go. So imagine that stalking you.
Hold on, I can't see it. It's not on the screen.
Oh, it says I'm still sharing. Hang on. Let me just refresh the share.
Yeah. So that's fine.
Seeing it?
Right. This is where it gets... This is the one that I seen. I was like, what? Do you know what this looks like? Right? I do the wee informational videos, right? And there was one informational video that turned out to be absolutely shit. By the way, it was just not true. Where they kept people awake for like a month to see what would happen through drugs. Apparently, it was some like Hitler experiment, right?
Talking about the Russian sleep experiment.
The Russian sleep experiment, right? Now,
Mhm.
apparently, it's not as they say it is, right? But this motherfucker here, this looks like how they ended up. Their skin fell off their face, apparently. But apparently that wasn't got anything to do with the sleep. That was to do with the drugs that they were giving them. And they looked like this. And then I thought about this. I thought, is the back rooms sort of like not a depiction of that, but it's like you're not sleeping. You're constantly wandering around the back rooms, and that's what you would end up like if you
There
didn't get
are
up.
places you can sleep.
Right,
Obviously, you're not gonna sleep in level 3, for example, because there's a lot of entities in level 3, so you're not gonna want to go there unless you can find yourself some kind of colony or outpost to live in.
right.
So wretches relate to lack of hunger, thirst, and lack of sleep. Isolation is thought to accelerate the process. Process of transformation is called the wretched cycle. So you start off with itchiness and irritation, erratic and aggressive behavior, and this can be halted with actually helping and like sleeping, eating, drinking. Stage 2, skin and muscle tissue dissolve. Outer skin reddens and flakes. Eyes become bloodshot and irritated, and hair loss sets in. Survivors often proclaim the itchiness to be unbearable, describing scratching layers of the skin off in an attempt to stop it. Speech is still intelligible, but only consists of pleas for food, water, and help. And then
Right.
by stage 3, all normalcy is lost. Nails and hair fall out, often regrowing in other places. Eyelids, lips, and cartilage dissolve, forcing the eyes to remain open constantly and roll wildly in their sockets.
It's like hell, basically.
It is. It is absolute hell. And I mean, I could go into a worse hell, which I'm going to later when I start discussing objects in the back rooms.
Right.
So.
Okay. Right. So just yeah, you finished with that screen, yeah. So just to sort of regurgitate and refreshen what we've just talked about there, before we go into objects, because this is where I'm really interested, right? Because in the back rooms, there's like certain objects, there's things that you have to the source, and there's all different things throughout all different levels that keep you surviving.
Mm-hmm.
But so the back rooms we've covered. The back rooms we've covered. Liminal spaces, guys. If you want to know what they are, just shoot on back to the start of the podcast and we explain it. But so objects. Let's get into the objects. What are certain objects you would find in this game?
The most important thing is almond water.
Right.
Most of the time, you're never going to find fresh, drinkable water. This is going to be your main source of hydration. It has a sweet almond and vanilla flavor with a faint smell of vanilla and rose water. It can be found in a ton of different containers, including clear water bottles, metal bottles, glass bottles, cartons. It can be found everywhere, especially in places like level 4. They actually have fountains dispensing it, so you can just restock if you need to. It's a very common thing to use as currency. Obviously, money isn't going to have much use in the back rooms, so they actually trade with supplies instead.
Right, so you can meet other people in the back rooms then?
Yes. People in the back rooms are called wanderers.
So you could just be wandering around in this liminal space of endless nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just come across another person.
You could come across a civilization, a small colony or civilization.
So you'll have civilizations of people in these endless... I suppose it doesn't take a lot of... It doesn't take a lot of processing to get these because there's not a lot of graphics to these either. How can you come across a civilization? So there'll be people that can log on to the backrooms and go directly into an area of the backrooms that's colonized by other backroom players.
The Enter the Backrooms games, I haven't seen any that are multiplayer. Because right now I'm just referring to the written concept of the backrooms based off the wiki site. I'm not referring to the game. The game doesn't have.
So if it's not a multiplayer, then how do you come across in
the fictional universe version of it, you tend to just get lucky if you have to get lucky to find one. Unless you work for one, then you know like the routes to get to others. You may know what levels to go through, what sections to go through. You may have specific paths. But a lot of the times it's just getting lucky and finding
Oh
a
yes,
group.
so you can't have a headset on and speak to your mate and say like, "Oh, here I'm starting off here. You'll start off here, and you'll spawn in this area." It's nothing like that. You
You
just have
never
to.
know where you're going to spawn.
So you don't know where you're going to spawn, and to sort of have a civilization, you have to like. Can you build stuff in this place? Is there?
Yeah, people just use the supplies that they have around them. They'll use, I don't know, maybe they'll take doors off the wall. They'll maybe take raw materials and build them into little like settlements and walls and stuff like that to kind of help protect themselves. They'll make their own weapons and whatnot. So
And can you communicate with people?
yes,
So you can speak to people.
yeah, they're a lot of they're just either people from Earth or in some versions of the canon they're people from alternate realities who have also no clipped.
This is where it gets a bit fucked up, right? Because I was reading another thing, right? And I heard there was a sort of a backroom game on the dark web, right? It was like a strange sort of not a game, but it was a place that people would go to, sort of like a version of the back rooms. And these people obviously would access the dark web. They would go to it and they would speak to each other and they would talk. I don't know if it was the same sort of setup like that, but it was sort of like a cover for like not criminals, but like weird, creepy people looking to do some heinous shit. And it was covered by a game. And I just needed to know, is there a type of multiplayer? Is there a type of way that you can communicate? But you can't do that with these games.
Not the ones that I know about. I mean, there are places like VR Chat, Gary's Mod, and a couple of other games that have backrooms maps that people have made that you can like congregate in with other players. But
Yeah,
I
but
don't
they're
know of any games about the backrooms that have multiplayer versions.
but the sort of original games, the original backrooms, they don't have that. The construct is that it's an endless level, and
It's yeah.
then and then there's thousands of endless levels, and to actually have a civilization, you need to be quite sophisticated to know what you're at.
Yeah.
It's really messed up. I actually want to play it. I'm not going to lie to you. I might actually just play it and record a bit of footage and just stick it up on the channel just to show people. Is there any? Can you share to the screen sort of footage off the back rooms, people playing the back rooms, just to give people uh, an idea
Yep.
of what that is?
All right, so let me go to videos.
Try to turn off the sound because just in case it get done for copyright.
Yep. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just minimize that. I don't know if you'll get. All right, here. Let me share this. Nope, that's not the podcast. That's not the podcast. Get out of there. Get out of there. Now, where is the? There it is. Second window. Share screen. Go.
Yeah, take your time to worry about it.
Full screen. So this is the front of this is the title screen of the game. Let me see if I can actually go back and see some footage. So that's level 0. That's level 1 or level 2, level 3, level 4, 5. Yeah. But it's just these empty expanses.
Right. So yeah, this is the thing, but it's the creepiness to it though. It's just because I remember playing a game whenever I was a kid, right? And it was a free game you could have downloaded onto your PC when I was in school, right? When I was supposed to be working, I would play this game, and it was sort of like the backrooms, right? But there was a start, there was a middle, and there was an end.
Mhm.
But with the backrooms, there's none of this. It's just people need to realize it's like an endless universe of just the same thing, and the fact that you can come across just randomly. You could be traveling around the backrooms for a long time in certain levels, come across nothing, and then all of a sudden you'll just see a face sitting in the corner. Isn't that how it works?
Mm-hmm. Entities can reside anywhere on a level that they're supposed to live in. But
now here's one for you, right? See the servers that run these, right? Do you know how they randomly sort of generate these entities?
Um,
It's a question. Like that is a
I think it
question.
tends to be just a bunch of like random number generation.
Yeah, because it would be hard to do that. Maybe not as hard as what you think, but if you think about it, the fact that you could be wandering about for ages, come across nothing, and then all of a sudden see something from the corner of your eye. It's a face or something spooky or something really, really weird. Like you hear people, I was on a couple of the Facebook pages and there was people saying, oh, there's other types of entities. There's these
Mhm.
entities that people haven't seen before. And nobody believes them. And maybe some of them were telling lies. But there's people that have took screenshots and said, look, and people are like, wow, I've never seen that before. So there's new things that pop up all the time.
People are
And
always adding stuff.
yeah, on like original levels that you would
Mhm.
never know, and they don't tell anybody, and it scares the shit out of people. And then
Yeah.
there's people that make backroom sort of, they'll have like a maze of like an actual real backrooms where you can go and you're in this area and it's humongous. It's like the size of a small town, and you'll go and it's just the same shit over.
That's actually something I want to mention. It's like if there's something weird about it with my brain. Um, there's a story that I'm trying to work on where there, instead of no clipping out of reality, someone finds a public entrance to the back room. It's just like a door that wasn't there before. They open it and they start seeing the giant yellow walls, the buzzing fluorescent lights, the carpet, and it just leads from like an office. So my brain's always been like, if you ever found an entrance, like a publicly available entrance that you didn't have to glitch in and out of in order to get there, would you go inside knowing what lies behind it? Knowing that
Mm.
you're most likely never going to come back.
In real life.
Like in this hypothetical, if in real life, for example, if a door just showed up and you open it and it leads to level 0, what we saw with the yellow wallpaper and the carpet and the lighting, and just the endless expanse of yellow rooms,
No,
would you go inside? There's something
no,
about it that draws me in. There's something about
no.
it that calls to me. It's like a call of the yellow void.
I couldn't because I would know if that happened to me. Like imagine that did happen to you, right? Because you hear stories all the time, right? And here's one story I'm going to tell you, right? There was one I was listening to. I'm actually doing a bit of an informational video because it's true. I've researched it. I like to do a bit of research into my things, and it's true. There was this guy. He went under a lie detector test and he passed it. Now I'm not saying that it happened, but this is something that he talked about. And he said he was fixing the sink, right?
Oh, the dude who ran into his time travel clone or whatever the hell. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and it's similar, right? He says he was doing like a
Plumbing.
plumbing under a sink, and he just kept going underneath, and he couldn't get it. Something he kept going underneath, and then I forget the story. I think he came out the other end, but he was the same age, but he went through some sort of portal
And met his
and
older self.
and met his older self, or was it his younger self he met?
I think it was his older self.
It was his older self, yeah.
And then I think
Uh,
they had a picture of the tattoos or something
they
that
had a
matched.
yes, they had a picture of the tattoos that matched, and it was like, and he went under lie detector test for that. People don't realize that, and he passed the lie detector test. So what he said is he felt like it was a portal when pardon me, when he opened the door. He says there was always strange things with the house anyway. The land that it was built on, it was like some weird, I don't know, land. I don't know, maybe Apaches or something owned this land, and he went in and he passed the lie detector test with this. And when somebody passes lie detector test, either they're schizophrenic or it really did happen. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe there
There's a
is.
whole debate about the reliability of a lie detector test that we could get into.
Yeah, yeah, but like, well,
But
yeah, 100%. But I mean, I think what it is, if you're going to pass a lie detector test, if you're going to fail one, right? So you're going to be on drugs for one, and you don't tell the examiner, so they have to sort of say, right, this is inconclusive. We can't give you the the results of this because it might not be real because you've taken whatever drugs like antidepressants. You can't take antidepressants. So I don't know. You could be 100% right, but he did pass the lie detector test. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there was sort of evidence that this happened. It's like a backroom thing. And if you were to go through the door, imagine you walk through the door, you open the door, you're just, I don't know, you're in an airport or something, you're in a shopping mall, you walk through the door, you close the door behind you, you look back, the door's gone.
Yeah,
door,
that would scare me. I would prop the door open if this happened. I would prop the door open, try to
yeah.
keep it open, and use some kind of guide rope. Maybe tie my waist with some rope, and then use that as a way to find my way back if I got lost.
But but I'm saying, what if you didn't realize what was happening? What if the way you just walk through a door, you don't realize what you're doing. You just walk through this door, and it's more like a strange, like if you walked into like a strange place, a place that you've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling you always get when you go into like a new area that you've never been. Maybe you're on holiday. It's that feeling. It's
trying to catch your bearings.
Yes, and you walk and it closes behind you. You look back, it's gone. What do you do? What do you do? Because there is, as you say, that story of your guy could be true. It might not be true. I don't know, but he does have.
I don't know either.
But what if it did happen to you? Like, it's just a fucked up thing. Like, and these games sort of, you don't know what's shit and what's real. And you hear stories coming out about these games. You hear people like saying, actually, there's substance to this, like scientifically, mathematically, there is substance to what's going on here. This can actually be done in our reality. And what do you feel about that? Do you think it's just a game, or do you think this could be?
I haven't really looked into all of the scientific, mathematical, physics stuff related to it. I just enjoy the canon, the games, and the fictional world that they've created. That's my main focus on it, is not the whether or not it can be real. It's just losing myself in the story.
But you know what it is? It's like that with anything, right? So, for instance, we've done podcasts to do with Scientology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, whatever world you decide to go into, that's the door you decide. That's the door you decide that. That's the door I'm opening, and I'm going into this. So that could be Scientology, Christianity, Islam, and whatever, right? And it's like there is something to that. Do you know what I mean? And once you're in there, it's hard to get away from that.
It absolutely is.
It's like you get indoctrinated. And when you're in the back rooms, you're indoctrinated. Now you have to find your way out. And it's the same for like all these weird cults. Once you're in that door, you look back, the door is gone. And it's up to you to get the fuck out of there. Do you know what I mean? There is something to the back rooms, whether it's
it can be used as like a metaphor for certain things.
100%. So let's go through all the different objects and off the back
rooms.
All right.
So we went over almond water and how important that is.
Yeah.
One thing is called royal rations. It is the most prized food item in the back rooms. A very rare thing. It's white edible gelatin. And one spoonful of it is enough to keep you full and give you all the nutrition you need for one full day.
Right. So if you're in the back rooms, right, and you're just on normal rations, right, not royal rations. Oh look, we've got a Facebook like. I'm trying to promote this on Facebook, and I've got a Facebook like. Thank you very much for whoever liked this on Facebook. And this is live on Facebook and Twitter at the same time. So
cool.
Yes. So if you're just on normal rations, right? Mm-hmm. How long will you last?
As long as you have rations.
So how long does a ration last for a basic ration?
It depends on what you have. I mean, you could have just come straight from. All right. So what we know as real life in the fictional universe is called the front rooms. Think about it like the front of a store. It's the display. It's what you see. The back rooms is what you don't.
Yes.
So if you're coming straight from the front rooms, if you prepared for this, obviously, you're going to have stuff like granola bars, trail mix, maybe beef jerky, whatever. But there are places with vending machines that may have snacks and drinks. There's a level called the snack rooms, level 6.1. There are, sub-levels to certain levels. They still count as the overall level, but they're a different section inside of it.
Right.
So in this case, level 6.1, it's like I don't remember if it's a restaurant or a store type thing, but there are creatures called facelings that work there, that are there to help wanderers with whatever they need.
Wow.
So there are places you can go to stock up on food.
Wow. And is the more movement that you do, the more you move, the more you have to eat, the more you have to have rations?
It's just all about normal human physical anatomy. It's if you move, you burn calories, you need to replace those, and that's it. It's just like real life. It's just normal eating and drinking.
And is there a day to night time in this game?
Some places have day-night cycles, some don't. Obviously, if you're in a place that's entirely inside, you're not going to know a difference. Like if you're in level 0 in the area with the yellow walls, the fluorescent lighting, those lights are on 24/7. It's going to fuck with your sleep cycle.
Yeah. Do you know what would be crazy, right? If I start at the back rooms, you're on the back rooms, right? And we'll try to meet up some way on the back rooms. Is that impossible?
Very unlikely, but not impossible. But there is a rule that there is to level 0 in the canon. If you try to enter level 0 as a group, you will be split up until you leave. So even if you try to go in there with other people, you're not going to. It's not going to let you.
And there's no way you could code that to get in. There's no way you could hack the game so like you just end up in the same area like a spawn.
Well, the games are randomly generated, so you're just going to end up in a different part of the maze.
Yeah, but for instance, like every game has a code. So if you're some sort of super hacker, like if you can hack a bank, you can bloody hack the back rooms.
Yeah.
And sort of hack the back rooms and figure out the code, and then know where you're going to spawn, and then spawn your mate beside you. That would be fantastic. Like
that would be fantastic. It'll be cool if someone actually puts that together as a game mechanic.
Because, but then the thing about it is, the game itself. I was watching a bit of footage. It's so easy to get lost,
disoriented.
Yes, that's the big one that people say, that it's addictive, and it wrecks their head. They can't stop playing, but it leaves them with a frustration.
Yeah, well, one thing that I saw was somebody playing that game. They found the door to level 1. They got into level 1. And they were looking around and they just find this like staticky cloud just floating in the game. And this is called a rift. They went up to the rift and it said, press E or whatever to descend. They pressed it. All of a sudden they were back in level 0 and they're like, motherfucker.
What?
They just got thrown back in a random section of level 0.
So you could be in the game and it'll give you something to interact with.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's good.
And you don't know whether it's good or not.
Rifts, as an example, always bring you one level down. So as long as you know what a rift is and what it does, you can usually you can avoid interacting with them.
Right.
But there are certain, I think in level 3 or something, or level 5, I don't remember which one. There's elevators that can hurt you when you try to go up to them. They're fake elevators. So you're trying to figure out which elevators are real and fake. So that's kind of a bitch.
Wow. I'm actually, I really want to play this game. I really want to play. It's a lot of fun. I know I am going to start playing this game. So what's the weird and creepy to this? I know you've showed a couple of weird and creepy things to this, but is there any, is there any more sort of artifacts? Is there any more objects, or is there any more weird and creepy aspects to this game?
Okay, so everything I've been reading about, the royal rations and all that stuff, isn't from this specific game. They might not be in any game. I don't know. The game I mentioned does have almond water and a couple other things, but it's still a very, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say basic game. The person who made it is, I think they're still in high school, and they're constantly updating it with new levels. It's insane, their level of talent when it comes to this.
And when was the first game of the Backrooms come out?
No clue. I don't know what the first game was relating to the Backrooms. Hold on. Searching that right now. So first Backrooms game. The Backrooms game free edition on Steam. This came out July 25th, 2019. It is literally just level 0, but the point of the game is to check your timer to know how long you've been there, because if you don't, hallucinations start happening and insanity drains and all that stuff.
But yeah, but I've got a feeling though that this Backrooms type stuff was out long before this. I am sure I seen something like this whenever I
Well, a
was.
lot of games have these. It's common for a game to have this. You are the only one there, especially horror games. Horror games are common for a lot of liminal spaces. Abandoned houses and just creepy stuff in general.
Yeah, like I played the new Resident Evil, and there's a part where you're just walking in it, and you're walking, and then all of a sudden at the end, or not the end, but at a certain part, this fucking thing just jumps out at you, and it's like it's there. They used it. I seen the thing about the liminal space, about it looks so obscure when you look at it. But then whenever they put their overlays and they put the advertising in it, it looks perfect. It looks like it's supposed to be there. It's a strange thing, isn't it? I think the liminal space itself, and I still can't help to think though that this has been out way before 2019.
Mm-hmm. I think the original 4chan post that first showed that picture of the yellow office was 2019. That was the first official like Backrooms related thing on the internet. A lot of things have used the same types of concepts and tried to invoke the same emotions and mental states. But up until then, I don't think anyone was calling it the Backrooms.
Can we talk about the mental state that it leaves people in?
It's like I said, it's liminal spaces. It's the eeriness, the loneliness, the nostalgia. For example, one really common type of liminal space, which I will load up right now. Just give me a minute. Or think about like the glow in the dark carpets you'd find in a bowling alley. I don't know. Yeah, that type of thing, like an arcade in a bowling alley, empty. That's a common liminal space. Some of them have like late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic. So those can help. Like that's the nostalgia. Play places at like a Chuck E. Cheese or a McDonald's, Burger King. Those like tubes and the ball pits and all that stuff. That's another example of a liminal space.
Yeah, it's like your generic type sort of corporation or company. The way, like, as you say, McDonald's. You walk into a McDonald's in Ireland, it's sort of similar to McDonald's in America. It's so strange. It's a really strange concept. It's a really, really strange concept, this, but it's addictive. Mm-hmm. I'll actually say this, right, guys, just type into Google whenever you get a chance, liminal spaces, right? Or even go to the Facebook page group, and you'll see people taking pictures of these liminal spaces. When I first researched this, I thought, this isn't for me. It's not my type of thing. Whenever I looked into this, it was like, this is fucked up. They're everywhere around you. You don't actually notice that you could be in it, but they're there, and it's addictive. Because now every time I'm about it, I'm like, Jesus, this is a liminal space.
It's essentially the world without people in it.
Yeah. And why do you think people gravitate towards that though? Why do you think there's certain people that, I don't know, maybe it's not like an emo thing, or it's nothing like that. It's more like, it's a whole group of different types of people that sort of search for these empty places. I don't like the nighttime ones though. The nighttime ones are a wee bit sort of, they're like low hanging fruit, because you're going to get, it's the daytime ones that get me.
Because they should have people in them because it's daytime.
Yeah, but we're talking about the glitch.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the glitch. So when I was researching today a little bit, I seen there was one person who was driving through a town, right? And there was two towns that separate each other by, it was somewhere in America, I forget, Kentucky or one of those places, right? And there was two towns that separate each other by 3 or 4, 5, 6 miles, whatever it was, right? 10 miles. And one town was packed. I mean, it was really packed to the rafters, right? And it was a beautiful looking town. And the other town, when driving into this town, looked identical to the town that he just drove from, right? But one town was packed and the other town was completely empty, right? And when he drove into it, he didn't stop in the first town for a bite to eat because it was too packed. But when he stopped in the second town, when he was walking in the shops, there was nobody in the shops. There was nobody in the restaurants. There was nobody on the street. There was nobody in the petrol stations. There was nobody anywhere, right? And he had to film it. I think you can actually find the footage on YouTube. Just type in "dead town" or something, and it was really, really, really eerie. Guy,
I'm just googling the thing.
liminal space. Guy finds dead town. Now I don't know if it was set up, but he said it was like a glitch. He found it like a glitch, and when asking, because obviously there's these wee towns in America all over the place, and you never know where they are because there's so many of them. He said that when researching that town, he couldn't find that town.
Damn.
But he says it was the exact same as the town as he drove out of. Like you have Springfield, and then you have you have Springfield in The Simpsons, and then you have the other one. What do you call the other one?
What's the town? Is it Simpsons?
Yeah, The Simpsons. The way you have Springfield, and then there's the other town besides Springfield.
I don't know what the other towns are. Springfield adjacent town. Simpsons. Shelbyville.
Yes, so there are similar towns, right? But they're both packed with people. And his sort of description of this, and it could all be fake, when he drove into the town, the other town was empty, but it was an exact replica of the town he just drove out of. But when researching, pardon me, the second town, there was nobody there. There was nobody in the restaurants, the shops, and he couldn't even get petrol for his car or diesel for his car because they were all locked up. And he just drove out of it thinking, what the fuck's going on here? Very, very small little town. And that was a liminal space. There was nobody there. Him and his family were freaked. They were spooked out. They didn't know what to do. They thought that maybe everybody from this town went to the other town for whatever festival that was going on. But there wasn't one person working in the shops or the restaurants. They couldn't even get a bite.
What's cool is actually some of the, I think like certain things related to the military, certain military bases or whatever have these little towns that they may use for simulations or stuff like that. And that actually is really cool. Just knowing that there's a town, but it's not meant to be lived in.
But that was he tried to research that and he couldn't get the town. He never went back because it was too far away from where he was going. He was going on a road trip with his family, but he wanted to go back and fly back to see if it was there. But when researching it, he couldn't find it. He found the original town, but looking on the map, he couldn't find the town that he drove through.
That's creepy.
And his whole family witnessed it, so he wasn't going crazy. And what I'll do is I think that should be on my history on my YouTube.
I was gonna say if you find it, link it because I really want to see this.
Yeah, it was great. It was only a 2-minute video, and it could be fake. There's loads of that shit on YouTube.
Even if it's fake, then the aesthetic is still like insane.
Well, then it goes to the mathematics of the backrooms, right? Mm-hmm. So the mathematics of the backrooms is that mathematically the Earth's that big that you're going to get a place. You're going to get two places that are very similar, and it's mathematically possible to be in one town that has nobody in it, right? And it's the same as the other town. I know this seems crazy. And you'll drive through it and there'll be nobody in this town. It's sort of like, it's mathematically possible that could happen.
Yeah.
And that's like the backrooms. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's like. It's like real life backrooms. Now imagine if he had drove out of that town into another town that was packed. And then he drove by that and he went into a town that was dead again. It's a glitch. In my opinion, if it's real, it's a glitch. You do get little glitchy type things that happen all the time. Deja vu is one of them. That's a bit
It's a weird mental concept to me. It's really interesting.
It's a backroomy thing though, because I don't know if deja vu is something maybe you've seen you haven't remembered, but you're like, hold on, you'll be speaking to three people, or you'll be just walking down in an empty space, a liminal space. You're thinking, hold on, I've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
I've dreamt about this. It's mental, like. So, is there any more to do with the backrooms?
Oh, you did ask about the what draws people to it?
Yeah.
I think it's, say, for example, in the case of this dead town, I think it was the idea of a new discovery. It's curiosity, and people just want to know. People just want to find things that maybe not many other people know about.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is curiosity. Part of it is that feeling of adventure.
The mass detective says deja vu could be past reincarnation. How do you feel about that, Holly?
Some people think it is. I personally don't have any, not knowledge of reincarnation, but it's a concept that's tough to prove. So yeah. I don't have a comment about it. I just want more info out before I make a statement.
Yeah. No, I get you. Do you think it's do you think we've covered the backrooms pretty well, or do you think
we've talked about levels and sublevels, we've talked about entities, we've talked about objects, and I wanted to get to one more object after this.
Yeah, no, you talk, you tell
liquid
away.
Pain. It is pure torture.
Is it marrying somebody?
Well, yeah, that could be too. I don't know why it's liquid though.
Oh yeah.
So liquid pain is a dark crimson gelatinous liquid. It's corrosive, toxic, and acidic, and it has 7 stages of effects. The first one is mild fever or mild swelling of the left leg. The second effect is a one-time sharp stabbing pain in the stomach. The third one is a 10-hour headache. The fourth is pus leaking from the legs and the head. Fifth, small fractures forming in the skull, unbeknownst to the person actually experiencing it. For some reason, these fractures are painless, but you can see them in x-rays. You get internal bleeding, muscles tearing, bones breaking, explosion of the stomach and the eyes. You fall completely limp. You become essentially paralyzed. Your bones detach from their sockets, so you can't move, and you only can die from this after a year.
Right. So whenever you die in this, right, that seems pretty fucked up what you just said there, right? But whenever you die in this, what happens to you?
We don't know. Some people like to say if you die, you end up in another section of the Backrooms. Some people say that dying is actually there are some levels where dying will get you somewhere else. So it could be a method of travel, I guess.
Wow.
But a lot of people like to think if you die in the Backrooms, you maybe just end up in another level.
Wow. That's right. Guys, I'm getting onto the Backrooms, right? I'm actually going to do a bit of content, and I'm actually going to do this myself. So if I go crazy, right? You see like the skin peeling off my face and my
you become an insanity.
Yeah, but it's like people can hallucinate. This is what can happen. If you play, apparently you can't play it on a small screen. If you play it on a big screen, then hallucinations can actually happen a lot if you play it for hours and hours on end. So I want to see if I can hallucinate. Here's one for you. Imagine playing the Backrooms on magic mushrooms.
Oh God. And Jesus Christ, if you find level -0 and you're on acid, you are not getting through it.
What's -0?
So level -0. Let me see if I can get this. Images. No, I don't want to subtract 0 from my search. I hate Google's thing sometimes. All right, level -0. to the back rooms. There are also negative levels of the back rooms. Negative levels tend to be a lot more dangerous. Like one of them is completely flooded with water, but sanity can go down actually really, really quickly. -0. Yep. No. Every exit and enter the back rooms. I'm going to see if I can just kind of skip through this as you talk.
Solway does have a point here. He says, I actually think we might be like the Sims game on this planet in a way, huh? So I actually sort of agree with him in this, right? Because there is like a pattern to everything that we do. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's something that we've constructed ourselves because we're sort of, that's what we do. We've built all these buildings, we've done all these things, and we live by sort of like a code and a pattern. Maybe it's just that it's inevitable that that's the way we live. But there does seem to be like a sort of a code to the way humans live. Sort of, and it is very backroomy too. Do you know what I mean? Like we do get deja vu. We do get these things that happen to us. I think we're onto something here. I'm not going to lie to you. I know you're not into all this mad. I know you've shared something to the screen there. I'm going to put it up on the screen now. But before I put it to the screen, I think there's more of a chance that we're living in sort of like a backroomy type simulation on Earth, right? And that's what the universe is. And there's multiple universes than anything else. Honestly, it's looking like that way every single day. Like,
yeah. So I don't know why it's not. It shows the screen, but it's not. Oh, there we go. That's what levels. That's part of level 0. That's what, or level -0. I don't know. Hold on.
Yeah.
Why is it not? You seeing it now?
Yeah, but do you see the way it's different? So the negative levels are more full of color, or is that like? Can you get that with all?
I think that might just be a level, like level -1 is just doorways in a gray hallway. But it's, in this case, stability goes down more than sanity. I don't exactly know how stability works in the game, what the mechanic is, but that's level -2. It's flooded, similar to level 7. You got the whiteout, which is, I mean, obviously the blackout, you can't see shit.
What?
The electroscape, so just a bunch of like electrical equipment. Oh god, level fun. Okay, I'm gonna get into this quick.
Yeah.
There are entities called party goers. They are these yellow, leathery skinned, looking kind of similar to stick figures. And this is their level. This is level fun. It looks like a big area full of little like party rooms for kids. They are completely hostile and will, if touched, if made skin-to-skin contact with the person who touched them, will immediately become a party goer and will attempt to kill all other wanderers in the area. Let me actually...
And that's on the negative levels?
That's... Party goers are in a bunch of levels, but their home level is level fun. So imagine... This is, entity number 67. So that's a party goer.
Do you think like the like I'm just my brain's getting fried here, right? But do you think that like the Backrooms is like sort of like people trying to tell us this is some sort of fucking purgatory that where these
could be.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it sort of would remind you of that. Like looking at that thing, like I could imagine traveling around this level for hours, not seeing anything, right? Because that's what people do essentially, right? And then you just come across this thing with a balloon, like.
Yeah, or you just see the balloon and not even know where it came from.
Wow.
Or you find someone who looks human but isn't. So there are parts, basically another rule in the Backrooms is don't trust other humans. Not like they're going to kill you, but they might not be human to begin with.
Right, so this is the thing, right? So if you come across somebody, right, in the Backrooms, it might be just sort of a simulation in the game.
What do you mean?
So
Oh
like if
yeah, it
you
could be a hallucination. For example, the game I think has hallucinations in it.
and you might be hallucinating, sort of. Uh, so like, how can you distinguish between what's real and what's not?
Um, well, one example is uh, there are hallucinations that go away with a sanity increase. So, like if you know how to meditate, meditation's a really good way to raise your sanity. Almond water is extremely effective. Just getting sleep can help. A lot of things that people do just to get their mind like rebooted, refreshed, can help lower sanity, can help raise your sanity and help get rid of hallucinations.
Yeah,
Um, that's the how they usually come across the most
but
is through sanity.
there's people that have real hallucinations though playing this game. They've played it for hours and they've had real hallucinations
Oh
playing this
no,
game.
sorry, we're completely on two different points. I am referring to canonically
Yeah,
in the fictional universe. I whenever I'm speaking, I'm referring to the fictional universe as a whole, not any specific game.
yeah, because uh, I was watching a few videos today, and there was people saying like they played this game for like fucking days, and they've just their minds has just been warped. Do you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I actually can't wait to play this game. It's not like Call of Duty. I love playing Call of Duty and all those games, like, but
Yeah, but they're
um,
all to me they're all the same. It's all run, gun, shoot, kill, and then restart.
yeah. Do you know what would be good though if you could play like a Call of Duty game, right? But then you could glitch underneath into like a backroom type sort of Call of Duty
That'd
game
be cool.
where you're just running around different levels underneath of people, and if you come across somebody randomly, you have to kill them.
That would be pretty cool.
But there's what's that movie years ago, right? That had the backrooms feel to it. Do you remember the what do you call it? Here's Johnny.
Uh, that's The Shining, isn't it?
The Shining, yes, The Shining. That had like a backrooms feel to it
The
because
hotel, the entirety of the hotel is a liminal space.
yeah,
That is
that's
an
what that.
extremely popular one that most people don't realize is a liminal space, is that hotel.
Yeah, so guys, if you really want to sort of understand the definition of what we're talking about here, there's a game called the Backrooms, right? And there's
Enter the Backrooms, or there's a free indie game called the Backrooms. But if you just search Backrooms games, you're bound to find one.
yeah, and you can sort of figure this out for yourself if you're interested. But that movie was made early 80s,
1980s.
1981 or something, early 70s, and it's like these liminal spaces that's the backrooms, the generic sort of set into these backrooms, are crazy, and the game is fucked up. It's a completely fucked up game. There's all different types of them, but if you go way back, to the Shining, they sort of clicked onto these liminal spaces and how sort of humans react to liminal spaces. So if you're out and about, and if you want to check out the Facebook group page, go check out the Backrooms and go to the first group. It'll show you all the liminal spaces. People take pictures of them, and they are everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And you don't even realize what a liminal space is. Now I recognize them everywhere. I can't go anywhere without seeing a bloody liminal space. Do you know what I mean? It fucks with your head.
Yeah.
And if you want more information, just go to that group and you'll understand it more. But is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think. All right, so we've got objects, we've got entities, we've got levels and sublevels, entrances and exits. We've got what is the backrooms, what's a liminal space, and we went over colonies and outposts. I think that's about it.
I am definitely thinking about playing the Backrooms on magic mushrooms.
I want access to magic mushrooms.
Well,
I wish I lived in Canada right now, because I've been looking at this for a little bit and I found out they have magic mushroom dispensaries in fucking Canada.
Yeah, well, yeah. Listen, if you're gonna take magic mushrooms, right? Because this Ireland, they grow everywhere, right? So you go out the backfield. There's magic mushrooms everywhere, just everywhere. You don't need to buy magic mushrooms over here. But if you're going to take magic mushrooms, it's with the right people. You have to take them with the right people.
You have to have the right set and setting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially for your first time, because I took magic mushrooms with absolute dickheads, and for my first time, and it wasn't a good experience. But I took it one time with a good friend, and it was fantastic. I mean, it's one of the, but just take little bits. You don't like, people will take milligrams and milligrams of this
No,
shit.
you're supposed to start at a really low dose and then work your way up from there.
Yeah, I sort of didn't. I like the first time I done it, I put it on pizza. I put it on pizza, and I ate, like, I just sprinkled the bag. I just put it on the fucking. It was like my, you call these Mexican mushrooms, so they weren't as strong, but we had a lot of them, and we just put them on pizzas,
Oh my
and
god.
and I just digested these. And to see, the strange thing about it is they digest differently. So see, when you know it's going to hit, right? This is the strange thing, right? It goes into your gut, and then you feel it moving, right? This is maybe it's just, and maybe it's just in the head, but you feel it like moving, like dropping, and you're like, and then you just, anything can happen, like your hands, you'll feel it. That literally looks, see the way my screen is, you can literally trip like that.
Yeah. And you get that. I noticed you get that tracer effect.
Yeah, I'll never forget. There was a mate of mine. He was like a DJ, and he was on the decks. And when he was on the decks, he was playing this cool sort of like a drum and bass type techno music. And his hands, I remember watching his hands, and his hands were like fucking waves. And he had a 2-pack poster, and I I was taking magic mushrooms, and I was smoking weed, and I was doing all the rest. But I remember it just hit me all at once. And the 2-pack poster, the 2-pack was sitting like that, and the 2-pack poster just went right into my face, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But but make sure you take it with the right people, though, because
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
don't plan on being stupid with this.
Yeah, and yeah, don't be going straight into the DMT and all that stuff. That's pretty fucked up. That shit. Do you know what I mean? It's not even like, it's hallucinogenic, but it's life changing. Do you know what I mean? Tastes like rubber. It tastes like rubber.
I've heard mothballs.
Yeah, so just be very, very, very careful. But yeah, you can get low grade stuff. Go to Canada, take it. You can go on courses in Canada where you, like a retreat, sort of like a magic mushroom retreat.
Yeah.
But I am going to take magic mushrooms and do a live playing.
Oh, you need to link that. I am gonna be excited to see that.
Yeah, well, listen, you can join me. Like, you can sort of be my fucking spirit guide or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Guide you into transcendence.
Yeah, I'll just fucking guide myself into fucking level 752 like a great god, and just, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's fucked up. Like, it's fucked up. Right, so we've wrapped that up. Listen, I'm going to be looking into the Backrooms. I'm going to be looking into this a lot. Because I
Read
think
the wiki, go over all the entries, and see what people come up with.
yes, 100%. I'll just go through the chat here. Because Holly has to go to work. Don't you have to go to work?
I actually have a new schedule. Same days, but now it's been extended. It's been 6 to 2:30. It just started today, so now I don't have to go to bed at 6. I can go to bed at 8 now. Ooh, big difference.
Well, I mean, it is if you mean.
So it's only 5:55 here, so I've got another couple hours to kill.
Yeah. Well, listen. Fair play, guys. Listen. Jump over to Holly's channel. It's in the description of this video. She talks Scientology. She talks all the weird and wacky, and her channel won't let you down because, guys, it's a brilliant channel, and the way Holly speaks, she articulates things, the information sinks in. So please go over and subscribe. You'll find the link to that in the description of this video. Holly, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and I hope you come back on to talk about other stuff.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about cults. We're going to be
still got to do Heaven's Gate in Jonestown.
Heaven's Gate. That is what cult is that?
That's the one that oh god, how do I describe this? That's the one who believed that a UFO was following in the trail of the Hale-Bopp comet and killed themselves back in the late 90s. There was about 40 of them in like Santa Monica, California, something like that. They all wore tracksuits. They all wore Nike shoes. They all had $5 and quarters in their pocket, and they all killed themselves with, what was it? Phenobarbital laced applesauce and vodka, and then put bags over their heads.
What in the fuck?
Because they believed that they had to drop their bodies in order to go to the evolutionary level above human.
We're looking into that, and we're going to be doing a podcast about that, and that is called Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate, yep.
Heaven's Gate. Absolutely crazy shit. So we've wrapped that up, guys. Thanks for everybody tuning in. The Masked Detective, Gavin, Kelly, let me see, Jack Black. Thank you very much, Paul Ellis. I think it's the real Paul Ellis. He's had a bit of a trolling campaign.
Gavin, Steven,
Colin Neal.
Anne's Clown College.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, we'll not get into that one.
Yeah.
Have you done a bit of research on Anne? Have you?
I mean, you've told me about her.
Yeah,
I don't like crazy shit.
Yeah. There's the Masked Detective.
The Northern King.
The Northern King. Yes, big up the Northern King. Big up the Masked Detective. Big up Paul Ellis. Big up Kelly. Big up Positive Vibes. Let me see. There's Stephen Ross. I'll be meeting you soon, sir. Yeah, I think that's all. I'm sorry, Malter Whitty, Paul the Hat. Just going up here. Yeah. So if I missed anybody, I apologize. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, because this is the stuff that I like to talk about, and I'll be doing loads more of these. On Thursday night, I go live with Dean Lynch Ward. He talks. He, as I said at the start of the podcast, this channel is moving away from the whole Deca Higgy shit. But if guests are coming on, big sort of guests like Dean Lynch Ward's going to come on, he can have his say. He can talk about Deca. But my other channel, Plumcast, will be talking about all that stuff. So I'm not moving away from it. I've just moved it onto a different channel. This channel is for documentary style content, informational videos and podcasts. So yes, this Thursday I'll be going live with Dean Lynch Ward. You don't want to miss that one, because he's going to be giving his view on the whole situation, and he's clearing a few things up, guys, because there's a lot of shit out there that people are talking, and he's going to sort of give his version of the truth. So tune in for that 9:30 on Thursday.
Mind if I say one thing?
Yeah, work away.
I just want to give a shout out to Adrian Gonzalez. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you got my Discord link. Glad to see you here.
Yes, Adrian Gonzalez, great job, Holly. Very well said. I appreciate you coming in, Adrian. You're always welcome. A friend of Holly's is a friend of mine. So, right, guys, wrap it up. All good. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.